My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And we're paranormal investigators who live in the most haunted city on Earth, Savannah, Georgia.
Whether we're in the studio
or out in the field,
we hunt for the stories and experiences where the veil feels thin.
Shout out to our Parajunkie family on Patreon. This show is only possible with you.
And remember, this is a judgment-free circle. Your experiences matter, your questions are welcome, and the weird is normal.
So cut the lights, turn the volume up, and journey with us into the most haunted city on Earth. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on Earth. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Most Haunted City on Earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And I love North Carolina.
Oh, we know that. We are.
Yeah.
Nobody has questioned that.
That is a very long name.
Yeah, that is a pretty long.
I love. Well, it's
ILNC.
Yeah.
Ilnick.
Ilnick.
Ilnick. Hey, Ilnick.
We went from Pequod to Ilnick.
Pequod to Ilnick.
Yes, we just keep divulging into other odd sounding names.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, we have a ghost mail for you guys today.
Whoop.
And one of them is from a parajunkie, and the other I don't believe is a parajunkie, but if I am incorrect, let me know. But we've had an influx of you guys coming in on Patreon, so we have some new parajunkies we want to thank. We want to thank David Rodriguez, Tommy, Josh Bosset, Josh is an Ultra Parajunkie. He is our most recent Ultra Parajunkie.
Huzzah.
Huzzah! And if you don't know what that means, that basically means you're the top tier of our Patreon, and we love you.
And you get to go to the Parajunkie Cave.
You get to go to the Parajunkie Cave.
Where we have the Parajunkie Mobile and the Parajunkie Computer. We wait for the Parajunkie symbol in the sky to fight crime.
And the Parajunkie Hole.
Oh, yeah.
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 We'll stay away from that
one. We also want to thank Dolores Riggins, Yvette Teichman, Liana Harden, Bree M., Angela Clero, Maria Jose Cespedes Solis, and Jen. So thank you all so much.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Yeah, Patreon has had like a ton of new features added. We are in the we're being used as guinea pigs for quite a bit of things right now, including our live streaming, which we are currently doing for the Parajunkies. But they also have introduced something called quips, so you can keep up with little snippets of our content.
You know, I only signed on to Patreon recently, and I keep getting notifications that there's a new quip, and I was like, are we just making fun of things?
No, we're just
like,
quipping.
Hey, we've got a quip.
Yes, we quip now.
We're very quippy.
Yes.
Very clever. Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, if you want to join us over there, you can see our quips and stuff, and maybe consider joining us on our personal Patreon. It's a lot of fun. We live stream. We do the fix. We do all sorts of things. We live stream all night for the ghost hunt. So lots of fun things going on. But also, this is our Halloween episode, everyone.
Halloween!
This is our episode before Halloween.
Halloween!
So happy.
Samhain!
Halloween is every day for us, though.
It is, but
You own a paranormal museum.
I do.
And we all operate this podcast every single day. It's like Halloween is every single day.
So just today, we were told that on November 1st, All Saints Day, Andrea Perrin is coming to the Paranormal Museum.
Well, this is
so she'll be coming to Paranormal Museum. She's going to be signing books. She'll be hanging out during the day here at the museum. We've been talking about this with her for a while.
Yeah.
She's really wanted to come.
I didn't know it
but
was solidified.
The first time I'm hearing of it.
She's undergoing cancer treatment, and so it was a question of her health. But she never faltered on wanting to come. It was just a question of whether or not she'd have the strength to, and she is raring to go.
Wow.
So we shall see her on Saturday, November 1st, here at the Paranormal Museum.
Very cool.
fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Yes. So if you want to make it a double feature, you can also come on Halloween.
That's right.
Because we're going to be having an event on Halloween evening. So,
Midnight Methods.
Yes.
Midnight Methods. We're going to be examining all the methods and tools and ways that people look to communicate with spirits during investigations. We will be having the Savannah Psychics doing automatic writing, which is an amazing thing to see up close and personal. Maddie will be doing the Estes method, which if you know us at all, you know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't know, come to Midnight Methods at the Savannah Paranormal Museum on Halloween night from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So there's enough time to go out and party afterwards, and there's enough time to get your candy on before.
Exactly. Come in costume, too. We love
Come
costume.
in costume.
Yeah.
Also, anybody out there who's going to come on Halloween weekend, come in costume.
Yeah.
Come in costume to the Paranormal Museum because we love costumes.
I love any excuse to dress up.
We'll be in costume.
I will be in costume.
Yeah.
What are you going to be for Halloween?
Hat Man.
Hat Man? I
knew that.
considered Hat Man. I also considered Sexy Squonk,
Oh, sexy skunk. Oh, sexy skunk.
which I thought would be funny. And it's Sexy Light. I don't do the full throttle. But
It is squonk after all.
It is
so
squonk.
There's only so sexy that squonk can achieve.
Exactly. What I did land on, though, I'm going to be Lady Macbeth.
Oh,
so,
there you go. Out damn spot.
Out damn spot. And so, yes, I'm very excited for Halloween this year. So
Yes.
if you would like to join us for a
Megan
double
is
feature.
going to be Mothman.
Yay! Excellent.
And-
I think Alex said that she was going to be Mothman as well.
Yay! And Justin, because of Sushi Susie, Justin is going to be Grunkle Stan from Gravity Falls.
Oh,
so
no.
funny.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
If you don't know what that is, it's basically the story of Chris and Megan's life at the moment. It's a TV show.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But it is actually where Summerween comes from. So if you've heard people talk about Summerween, it actually came from this cartoon on Disney that was went far harder than it needed to.
Yeah. So it'll be a lot of fun. Come join us on Halloween in November 1st.
Yeah.
We will be here.
Yes, Madam V. Call off work and drive 4 hours.
Do
we'll
it.
be here.
Do
Yeah,
it.
come on.
Yeah, come on in. Plenty of room.
Plus, the SCAD Film Festival is coming along, so you might run into like Mark Hamill or Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, or a billion other
Or a
celebrities.
billion other celebrities. Today we went to see a movie with Rose Byrne in it, and she was there. And it was like, oh, weird.
Very
So,
strange.
yeah. Because usually those daytime shows don't have like the celebrities.
The celebrities, yeah. But there's all sorts of people in town. If
There
you
are
want to
so many
see
people
what
here.
celebrities you might run into, you can just look that up. There's like at least 25 celebrities, like big A-list celebrities.
I feel like we've gone a little off script here for a bit, but I wanted to also mention we're going to be at the Nightmare Weekend here they actually called us and asked us to put up a booth at the Nightmare Weekend, November 14th, that weekend. And it is that convention is stacked. I've never seen so many as a matter of fact, it's so stacked that they changed it from Nightmare Weekend to like just a Comic-Con because the level of celebrity that are coming to it are just insane.
So it's going to be a busy
where's that?
November.
It's going to be at the Savannah Convention Center.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be there.
Yes.
November 14th.
November 14th. The weekend of November 14th is like 3 days long.
Okay, perfect. We'll be there. So, all right. Well, that's the announcements we have for you right now. Let's go ahead and dive into Ghostmail. So, our first Ghostmail comes from Parajunkie Coley, who is on the live stream right now.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, Coley.
We're about to be scared by old Ghostmail.
Yes. So they said, hi, Maddie, Chris, and JT. Ultra Parajunkie Coley here. I love listening to you guys. A little about me. I'm 39 and have been able to see and hear them since very early childhood, much like Maddie. Though differently, I am also an empath, which translates to the spiritual as well. My oldest brother passed 2 years before I was born. At 7. I was a rainbow baby. And my mom used to come into my room and get me from my crib, and I'd be standing up just talking about my day to my big brother, much like you, Maddie, with your grandmother. Timmy is my spirit guide. Aw, those are the best. Those are the best first ghost encounters. But picking just one story to share with y'all was so hard, so I'm going to share 2 with you. Seriously, this was a test for this Libra. If you know, you know. That is the number one trait of Libra, is being very indecisive. So at least you know you own it. And so I debated and picked them and then changed what I picked. There are just so many good ones. I might end up sending y'all another email. Please do. Without further rambling, here are my 2 ghost stories. I look forward to hearing Chris and Maddie's thoughts on them. The first one for you, I'm going to call Ghost Whisperer. This is my one Jennifer Love Hewitt moment. LOL.
What do you want from me?
Excellent impression. And in July of 2010, I had a friend of mine pass away. Her family cremated her, and I went with her mother, we'll call her Bernadine, to the cemetery/mortuary to pick out an urn for the ashes she was given. This happened at Olinger Funeral, Cremation Cemetery, Highland in Westminster, Colorado. Walking to Olinger, I remember passing a sign stating a service was currently being held. It was just a cursory look, so I cannot remember any details like a name or anything like that. I do remember that it was for a man. They directed us to a private room, gave Bernadine a booklet to look through, and offered tea and drinks, and left us alone. We talked together for a moment. She asked my thoughts. Then we sat quietly waiting for someone to come in. It's quiet and peaceful when I suddenly hear, "You can hear me?" When I tell y'all that I am so grateful that they came through in my head, Bernadine was a rather religious woman, not one that I'd ever share any of these my witchiness or ghostly things with. It was a male voice. And I have always liked to say that we sensitives are like a lighthouse pulling spirits towards us. We walk in and they just know. And I know exactly what you're talking about, Coley. It is very jarring when that happens. And so when I'm in public, I answer them in my head to avoid looking like a crazy person. So I told him, "Not now, please. You can hear me." I can't. I'm sorry.
That's a hard way to convince somebody.
Yes. "Can you tell my family? I'm sorry. I can't. Not right now." I was so nervous at the time. I was only just starting to lean into my abilities, and I'm sitting in a room with the last person I'd ever want this to happen with. I was in a ghost hunting group with my 2 best friends, co-founded it with them. Had I been with the girls, they'd have been pushing me to go in there and talk to the family, LOL. I was, however, not with them. In my panic, I imagined one of those steel doors on ships and subs with the big wheel closures just slamming shut. I will never forget how his voice faded out on a long "no." Like I just yanked him from the room. Oh, that's kind of sad, though. Understandable, set your boundaries, but, it's always sad. I felt bad for that, and for a little while after that, it took me a while to open that door back up. Do you think in my fear I might have shut it hard enough that I would have to reopen it? At least I think it was why I had a period I didn't have anything after that. This one is purely for JT, LOL. Just for you. He likes the dark ones, and I know y'all both, Maddie and JT, like true crime. I sure do. There is an element to that with this. We'll call this one the Nope Ghost.
Nope Ghost.
We got a Mr. Nope
Ghost.
We do. We love a nope.
Yes.
This one is my one and only malicious spirit, thank gods. This one really put the ADHD fibromyalgia brain to the test as far as remembering other details, so much of it will never leave me. This happened in about 2007 or 2008. It's pegging the when that's really making my brain work. It's when that's pegging to make my brain work. I know it happened after my ghost hunting group, and I went out to the cemeteries behind Blackhawk for an investigation, and I worked with a medium. She took those of us who were more sensitive and worked with us, which is a story for another time. That's my assisting and passing on story. That's relevant because a friend of mine knew I'd done it and asked me if I'd come to her new house that her and her parents just moved into because she and her mom especially were very uncomfortable. I told her I'd gladly go, grabbed my sage, and went on my merry way. At this time, I was in the very early stages of my witchcraft. I didn't use the protections I use now, nor did I have my patron deities that I do now. I carried some crystals, did a meditation of the moon's light filling me and protecting me, which I still do, but I picture it more now as the lighting of Mjolnir for Thor's protection. Nordic. Very nice. I was woefully underprotected at this time. I'm not going to give much of the location, but for that, if memory serves, this was either in Littleton or Longmont, Colorado. The drive there from Thornton was a lovely one, as it always is driving into the foothills. Turning into the neighborhood wasn't bad. Taking the turn for their street, however, became heavy. It felt like it left you with a feeling of trudging through tar. I remember parking in front of her house and just wondering if I was going to do this. My intuition was particularly screaming at me to stay in my car and just turn around. Don't go in, just turn around. I had told her I'd help, so I buckled up and got out of the car and made probably the slowest walk to a house I'd ever made. This was a beautiful house, by the way, built in the 60s and had some renovations done. There was a bay window put in the living room window, and it was gorgeous. The feeling it gave, however, was not. My favorite thing to do, still to this day, is to place my hand on a building so I can pick up the emotions and just listen to the building. Or a tree. I do this with trees too, LOL. They tell me its story. This one's was a sad one. There were undercurrents almost like they were buried under the anger and rage of sadness and fear. Something dark happened in this house, and I told her that as I felt it. It's the only building I've ever touched that shook my hand afterwards and wiped it on my pants. She let me in and told me that it was her room upstairs. Walking into this house, it felt almost like one of those red rugs being rolled out in front of me, like, welcome, come in. I most certainly did not appreciate that feeling. I remember the look of confusion on her face when I said that, like that wasn't what she was expecting me to feel. We walked up the stairs and I told her that I didn't like the way it felt. It felt oppressive and just angry and some other feeling I couldn't quite put my finger on. Like it was there, but just out of reach. We walk into her room, and I'm looking around, wrapping my arms around myself and telling her this might be out of my depth. She hadn't been in there long when I felt a male presence behind me, like he's leaning down over my shoulder to whisper in my ear. This was the very first auditory thing that I have ever heard from a spirit that wasn't in my head. Now, I'm not going to share with you what he said. I have never told anyone, not even her. The only thing I do say is that it was the most graphic, vulgar, horrible thing someone alive or living has ever said to me in all of my 39 years. I told her immediately, tears rolling down my face, I want to leave. I could still feel the phantom hand petting down my hair for, hours after that. I think even after I scrubbed myself in the shower when I got home, I could still feel it. I can even now while writing this, and it's very much giving me the icks and woolly woogies. This is definitely an oogity boogity that gives you the woogity woogities in the worst way. It doesn't end there. Her mom went to the library. She watched one of the ghost shows at the time, Ghost Hunters, I believe, and got the idea to do some research on the house. My friend and I met up at Starbucks, and she told me what her mom found and what they had felt. Her father didn't feel much, just that his presence there was almost a challenge to the spirit. My friend and her mom felt unwelcome, almost a violent response. I told her I wasn't sure why, but I just know that's not what I felt. She said, I know, and now that I know why, I feel so horrible inviting you to my house. That definitely made me curious. Turns out her mom uncovered that a man lived there in the house in the 70s who was a serial rapist for TikTok, if you know, who murdered, I think, 3 girls in that house. Ugh. All of them blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Yep, that's right, y'all. Yours truly, your little Scandinavian... Coley, you're going to have to tell me how this is supposed to be pronounced. Vulva friend? Her and her mom, brunettes with brown eyes. I learned a lesson with that one, y'all. Always listen to my intuition. If it is screaming at me not to go in, do not go into the dang house. I always wanted to share this as a warning to those listening who might be starting out like I had been. Always listen to your intuition. It will never steer you wrong. I think I might have to send in my guiding a spirit over one to cleanse us of this one. LOL. I also have so many others that I can share. Again, I will enjoy your thoughts on this one. I always suck at questions, but if I'm on the live, I'll let you know if I think of any. LOL. Love listening to you guys. You get me through my drives to and from work. I look forward to taking a trip to Savannah and visiting y'all and taking a tour. Yay. Yes. Thanks, Coley.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coley.
Excellent stories.
Seriously.
Yeah. The first one, we'll start with that. Yeah, I can empathize with both of these stories. They're extremely common if you have more, how should I say, pervasive powers or special gifts, if you will.
Like sensitivity.
Yeah, sensitivities. That's the word that I was grasping for. Thank you. And so, yeah, it's really common. Like, I have been in a ton of different places where, especially if they're recently passed, these people sometimes cling to any sort of connection they can possibly get, whether they were not ready to die, they have unfinished business, they have certain things they want to leave with their family verbally, but they cannot. Sometimes, if you're the only person in the vicinity, it can be that they really become aggressive in their need to get across whatever it is that they want to tell you. And so with imagining the door closing, I don't know if you necessarily were putting such a stern sort of door in the way that it would close off all of your abilities, but I could see where you're coming from, where you might go through a lapse of time where you're just a little bit more guarded. Usually, if you want to close off your abilities altogether when you're that sensitive, you have to do some heavy lifting with that. And typically just imagery doesn't always completely block that. But yeah, I mean, you did the right thing. You can stand your ground anytime you want. You are not, just because you have abilities does not mean that you owe any spirit the time to connect. That is completely up to you to decide. So I think that's actually a really interesting point to bring up. As for the second one, I also empathize with that, where sometimes you just go into places that you're like, this place is not for me. I am not the person that needs to be addressing the issues going on in this house. You know?
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, literally at the Mars Theater, that was me. I literally went through exactly what you're talking about. And though I am further along in my practice than you were at that point, I still, like you said, trust in my intuition. I'm like, that's not a good place for me to be. And sometimes you just have to accept that. That's a part of the ego when it comes to having abilities or doing any kind of witchcraft that you have to work through. Because we always want to go and be the person that has the answers. We want to be the person that is able to solve things, but sometimes we are not the correct person. There are a variety of different abilities for a reason. And some people are more gifted at handling certain entities than others. And some people are more targets for certain entities. And it's just not wise to meddle with. So again, I think you did the right decision of being like, I'm going to leave.
And really, honestly, if you have the ability to sense, see, hear, or otherwise determine what a spirit is after, the danger is their ability to affect us, their ability to change our comfort, to harm our psyche. Those are things that give them even more strength and power. Vulgarity is a tool used by demons, by dark spirits. Vulgarity causes a response within us, and it feeds those spirits because it is an emotional damage that they're able to inflict. And that needle, when it moves, is so rewarding to these dark and sinister. We talk about these parasitic entities and what do they want? What does this parasitic entity want? It wants to basically feed upon the distance between how you felt before and where you end up in your suffering. That distance of emotional pain is so nourishing to those dark spirits. They want to make you unwell. They want to make you feel unease. They want you to feel disgusted. And those sensations are the goal. And that's why that's how vulgarity became this tool of dark beings.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it sounds to me at this point, you've got a solid grasp on how you should move about these situations. So I can't necessarily offer you much more guidance because it sounds like you got the solid basis of what it is trust yourself, have your protections if you're going to engage in these sort of things. And that is that's a lesson that everybody has to learn at some point. If you want to involve yourself in any kind of paranormal, you need to learn when it's time to back off.
And to move with boundaries. Keep your boundaries in place, because a lot of times what happens is people open themselves up unwittingly because of their willingness to help or their willingness to do something. They tend to let their guard down because they think that in that act, they're actually performing a service. They're actually allowing for the spirit to express itself more clearly, more cleanly. But that is one of the dangers of dealing with dark spirits. And again, we talk about this enough to suggest that there are not as many dark spirits out there. You know, they come along once in a great while. And in some cases, when you encounter a dark spirit a lot, it may be the same dark spirit. You know, it may have latched onto you in some way or some measure. So it is important to always keep your boundaries clear and not to make exceptions, be like, oh, well, this is a dark place and I need to have access to this being. So I'm going to, lower my guard so that it has access to me. It feels like a heroic act. It is not. It is putting yourself in danger and people around you in danger, because if it gets to you, then there's nothing to protect the other people from what you do in a state of, compromise.
Absolutely. But they're excellent stories nonetheless. And if anything, they're excellent stories as, lessons to learn on the road of becoming a paranormal person in general. Because everybody's going to encounter those sort of situations at some point in their journey. You're going to encounter places that make you deeply uncomfortable, or you're going to learn new information that makes you uncomfortable with the situation you were in and things like that. So it's always good to hear those types of stories. And I'm so glad that we were able to finally get this story, Coley, because it has been a long time coming. And we'd love to hear more of your stories in the future. Absolutely. If you're willing to send them. But yeah, and I'm glad that you were able to be here for the live stream as well. So awesome. So the next one comes from Leah. And this one was titled in the email subject, "Help born in a realm, an entity won't leave me alone." So I'm a little nervous, but we shall go into it.
There we go.
So good morning. It is now 3:13 a.m. here in Brandon, Manitoba, Canada. I'm a 44-year-old Indigenous female Oji-Cree. I was born December 1980. I was in my 30s when I realized my gift at birth is a realm between this world and the spirit world. My earliest memory goes back to 1993 when I was 12 years old. I will share it if you have time to read. I was in bed, we shared a bed, with my older sister, and we were living on Taft Crescent in Winnipeg, MB. I was asleep when I was suddenly awakened from someone calling my name, Leah. It was a soft but loud female voice and very clear. I said, "What?" as I rolled over and opened my eyes, and above me was a 4 to 5 inch size bright orb. I closed my eyes immediately because I was scared. With my eyes closed, I asked my sister, "Why did you say my name, and did you see that?" My sister, who was still awake, responded in a grumpy voice, "I never called your name or seen anything. I'm reading my book." My sister was annoyed because I interrupted her reading. With my eyes still closed, I rolled back on my right side facing the wall and fell asleep, confused and scared. The next experience was in 1994 to 1995. I was 14 going on 15 at FCI, a provincial-run residential school in Cranberry Portage, MB. I shared a room, which was room 313, with another female student, TC, who became my best friend. We were asleep in our own bunks in our room and not sure of the exact time, but it was well after 1 a.m. when I was again laying on my side facing the wall, but on my left side this time. I startled awake when I felt something/someone sit on my bed. I could hear heavy breathing and slight movements. As I laid in my bed, frozen with fear, seconds turned to minutes, when whatever was sitting next to me got up from my bed, and at this time, I could feel tugging on my blanket. That was when I began to scream and cry. I was shaking and my heart was beating rapidly and having difficulty breathing. My roommate had jumped out of her bunk and turned on the light. She couldn't calm me down right away because despite the light being on, I knew it was still in our room. I began sharing this to her in between sobs and difficulty breathing. It wasn't until she understood what I was trying to explain that a thing/man was in our room. She quickly moved me from my bed to her bed, covered me up, and laid next to me, trying to calm me down. I continued to cry and freak out because I kept feeling tugging at my blanket. Lights are on and I am between TC and the wall. TC didn't see anything but began to understand what was going on and ran from our room to the room across the hall to two other female students' room. All three came back to the room and TC explained what had happened to me to the other two girls, and then they began talking about medicine. I had no idea what they were talking about, but TC explained that her grandfather is a medicine man, and she also inherited the gifts, so they were going to smudge me in our room with sweetgrass and other medicine. The reason she got the other two girls because they were from the adjacent community there where TC was from and understood/practiced our indigenous medicines. TC took out her supplies. I had no idea she had this with her, and she prepared her medicines for smudging. Within seconds, I felt calmer. The crying subsided, and my breathing came back to normal. Once it was all done and over, TC crawled into bed with me, and all she said to me was, "It's gone for now. You're safe." TC said nothing more, and we both drifted off to sleep. I had several more experiences for the rest of my teen years, then they stopped when I turned 17 for a period of time. I had another experience when I was living in the Pass, MB, 2025 at age 24, and living in a fourplex rental unit where the living room/kitchen were on the above ground level. The bedrooms and bathroom were in the basement, and the main entrance was in the middle landing area. I was home alone, going about my business, cleaning because I was off for the day. Kids were at school. It was a cooler day in the fall, semi-sunny day. The curtains were open and the front door was open with the screen door shut, letting the light in. I was in my kitchen doing dishes when there was a knock and heard the screen door open when someone said, "Hello, are you here?" And I responded back, "Hello, yeah, I'm in the kitchen." After a few seconds, I said, "Hello, I am in the kitchen." No one responded, so I went over to the stairs and looked down at the entrance area and no one was there, and I was confused. So I went down to check if they were outside, but when I went to the open storm door, I realized I had to turn the lock to unlock the door for it to open. This is when I felt the chills run up my spine. I knew instantly he found me. By this age, I was able to identify my entity as a man. I didn't stay in that place much longer after that because things began to happen again, so we moved. Throughout the years, he would find me in my other rental homes, though out in the past MB with one of my most vivid experiences ever in 2011. I can still feel the warmth of my room, the smell of smoke and red shadow color of the room because my window covering was red. I remember the exact time. It was 10:10 a.m. because I just checked my phone and turned over on my left side facing the wall when I heard something out in my living room. So I rolled over to my right side and called out thinking it was one of my family members, but no one answered. I didn't think anything of it and attempted to fall back asleep when I felt that familiar feeling of someone in my room. Very, very slowly, I began to open my eyes just a tiny bit so he wouldn't see my eyes or that I was trying to see him. I was so scared because I could see a very large, dark silhouette of a man figure standing over me. He was just over 6 feet tall. I am 5'10" and had a large frame. I squeezed my eyes tight again and began to sing in my mind, "Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. We are weak, but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me," over and over. I don't go to church, but for some reason that song always stuck to me from childhood Bible school experience. Then I felt him sit next to me and his breathing became louder and heavier. I did not move or open my eyes, but I kept singing "Jesus loves me" over and over and over in my head for protection. He stayed next to me for a very long time, and lastly, I felt a hand on my right thigh. I swear I'm still surprised that I did not die of fright right then and there. Moments later, he left my room because I could hear the door creak open. I peeked through my eyes again and could see him walking through the living room, and then he was gone. Jesus! And that is the phonetic spelling of how that was. I checked my phone, and it was 11:13 a.m. I have many more experiences with this dark entity, but I realized he is getting way too close and hands-on now. I moved so much in my life, and now just realized I may be subconsciously trying to get away from him, but he continues to find me. At one time, I think he was trying to attach himself to my son, who had his first experience with the dark man around the age of 8 or 9 at 380 Rogue Avenue in Winnipeg. That resulted in bringing in an elder/priest for my son on one occasion, and this dark entity caused enough fright and stress on my son on another occasion that he was taken by ambulance from school to a children's hospital. His experiences were seeing this entity out of his bedroom window across the street from our home on several occasions, just staring at him. He then began seeing him across the street during recess time at school. Oh my God. My son realized this dark entity was getting closer because he started to see him at the school fence, and his final appearance he shared with me was seeing this entity at the fence entrance. This last experience caused him enough fear and distress on my son that the school had to call an ambulance due to his panic, crying, and difficulty breathing, but he never shared with the school what he saw. I made it to the school before the ambulance and was able to go with him to the hospital. After all these scary experiences, he was referred to the Children's Psychiatric Unit for westernized assessments, where he was diagnosed ADHD inattentive type. My son is now 22 years old and will no longer talk about what happened to him. He has never shared with anyone else, only with me, his grandma, his sister, and the elder/priest. I also have dreams and live experiences of seeing and receiving happy, healthy messages from positive spirits who use me to send these messages to loved ones. I only share if they are safe messages. I won't pass along messages that I feel will hurt anyone. I know these are real because the messages I do share to others, they often end in tears, thanking me because I pass along specific details that they and their loved ones only know. I also won't share other stories or messages out of respect for their privacy. I will have to ask permission of the receiver to share anything, but I dislike asking them if I could. But I am still very afraid and do not fully understand my gift or why I was chosen, because my lived experience from childhood until now has been a struggle. I am also diagnosed with mental health disorders such as BPD with BP and traits, ADHD, agoraphobia, anxiety, all that fun stuff. And I know I'm very different from others mentally and spiritually. I need to understand why this specific entity has followed me through my life, what he wants. Right now, he is not active because I moved from Winnipeg, MB, to my current location in July 2025. My lifestyle has changed to prevent myself from dreaming anymore. I no longer pray before bed to reduce messages from spirits. I avoid wakes and funerals because I become overwhelmed with the buzzing of whispers in my ears and sound of bells ringing. I use the sleep aid to prevent me from waking up, or I will stay up for several days at a time so I won't sleep or dream. My husband of 15 years has witnessed and experienced me having full-on clear conversations while I am asleep and having to wake me up because I won't shut up. I often wake up screaming and crying or having to wake me up because I am full-on crying in my sleep. He says the creepiest is when I am laughing loudly in my sleep. My children have witnessed my sleeping and dreaming behaviors their entire lives. Is this normal? Are there many others like me? Why am I a realm? What can I do to channel my gift to allow me to live happily and healthy, as I accept my gift will never go away? How do I rid this entity? Why is he attached to me? I also have premonitions, see spirits during the daytime. I'm not scared of the good spirits. I know I am crazy because I have proven my gift and have witnesses. I wake up often at 3 a.m., see the number 666, and call them my angel numbers, which 666 technically can be seen as an angel number. 13 is another number anywhere in my life. And I just realized in high school my favorite number was 6 after we signed our names and writing our favorite number with hashtagged followed, e.g. Leah Lavalley, number 6. My late high school boyfriend fave number was 13, and I used those numbers combined, 1306, as my first bank card pin. FML, just realized my current husband was born on November 6th. All of this is coming together because this is my first time writing it all down. Sorry for the long email. I hope you are able to make some sense of who I am. P.S. I have so many more stories, happy ones and scary ones, numbers, premonition, manifestations, knowing when others are going to pass, the scary negative experience with a previous female friend who we called a witch after realizing what was happening to us and around us. What we found in her room when she was kicked out by the owner of the house she rented a room from, that's a whole other story. It is 5:35 a.m. I'm just finishing this email. Thank you kindly, Leah Lavalley, Brandon, Manitoba, Canada. Man, Leah, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's challenging. It's really hard when you have a gift and you didn't have someone necessarily there to help guide you through a gift. And being that you are Indigenous, I have an inkling that you probably got this from somebody in your family, and maybe your family is not. I don't know who your family are, but maybe they're not as open about talking about their gifts. But a lot of times these things do run through bloodlines.
Oh, absolutely. It seems hereditary.
Yeah. And it's challenging. The best things that I can recommend to you is to find ways to protect yourself spiritually that bring you comfort. And that can mean a bunch of different things, whether you maybe go find an elder who can teach you how to smudge yourself. And again, this is coming from somebody who's not overtly familiar with all of the Indigenous practices spiritually, but finding an elder can always help to have someone guide you to ways that are protective, that are rooted in your culture, rooted in your identity. And that can sometimes bring comfort. If that's not something you're looking to go towards, you can find other means through other religions or other cultures that you resonate with. And you can utilize those things to build almost like a moat around you, if you will. You can kind of Mod Podge, if you will, of different types of protections to build such a heavy distance from yourself that hopefully it can keep this entity away from you. And you just have to maintain after that point to just keep it on the outside. And it sounds like your son has the same abilities that you have as well. So it might be worth talking to him as well to see if you have any other sort of commonalities, if he's willing to talk about it. And maybe you can go through this experience together of figuring out how to protect yourself, since you two seem to be the ones who understand this entity the best. It's challenging though. And it's challenging to pinpoint where an entity comes from.
And how it preys upon
Right.
you. There's a lot to be said about the list of diagnoses that you've offered up for us. Do not skimp on the mental health aspect of it. Do not skimp on these diagnoses and what they actually have to tell you, because one of the things that happens when people get diagnosed with something is oftentimes they use that as some kind of counter to the spiritual side of things. They say, oh, it's not spiritual because there's this scientific explanation for why my brain's not firing the way it's going, or things like that. But if you look at them in combination, a lot of these things, having a lot of these diagnosed disorders, do seem to go hand in hand with being vulnerable to spiritual attack, spiritual assault. It is not about weighing out, well, I'm going to take this, Western medicine route of understanding our brain chemistry, and then negate all of this information that is coming at me on another level, on these other planes of comprehension and understanding. but don't dismiss it the other way too. Don't lean so into the spiritual chaos of these emotional states and of these figures coming at you that you forget that there is some component of brain chemistry going on, that there is something that is, from ADHD to, bipolar, or, when we deal with these diagnoses and we are spiritually inclined or paranormally inclined, it's a tricky thing, because if you go into, your psychiatrist and you say, oh yeah, I see a dark man, coming out of the shadows every night, they will give you medicine that will put you on your butt, and they will try to separate you from the reality of that. They're going to suggest that that is not reality, and you can't, indulge in that. It's important to walk the line, because you have to participate in the reality that everyone agrees to. And if you let go of that reality too much, it's going to be a difficult existence. It's going to be hard to navigate. So always keep one foot firmly in that world. If somebody is offering you those diagnoses, don't honor them. Be aware of what that means, and then find some kind of connective force that allows you to examine the spiritual side while not necessarily ignoring the psychological side.
Yeah, and that's a great point to bring up. And that is partially what makes this so nuanced, because there are a ton of parallels that happen between psychology and parapsychology, if you will.
Right.
And so
there's a reason why it's called parapsychology.
Exactly.
And when you really go down like the actual parapsychological route, there is more to talk about the disorders that govern our perception versus the actual paranormal part that is, outside. The parapsychology part of it is how does our brain react to information, and is that information derived from an external force, an internal force, a misconnection of our senses, and it can be very daunting and very scary to think, this portion of my ideology and my belief structure is heavily swayed by the way that my brain operates.
Mm-hmm. But there is some credence, though, in the way of, you're having experiences that are replicated through your son.
Right. And then your son is having it,
Yeah.
and that you've been able to call upon, because that's, a bit of the wonder of these disorders is it does give you a gift of heightened perception of small, and intricate interactions between people. And so it's just having to be aware and careful that we are always operating in two worlds, the spiritual and the physical.
So just to kind of wrap that up, I would recommend that you reach out to an elder or somebody you trust in your community who understands your spiritual lineage, but also maybe can help kind of guide you to methods that will bring you comfort. And because that's really the key to protective magic, is what makes you feel guarded.
Right, that's why the Jesus song works.
Exactly, because it made you feel protected. And if you put enough of your energy into saying, this is what's going to keep me safe, that it will.
Absolutely.
But all that being said, like how your roommate said, after they did the smudging, it only keeps you protected for so long. So you need to build up.
It has to become a ritual.
Exactly.
Right?
You need to build up those guards so that it becomes a little bit more cemented into your spiritual reality. Otherwise, though, there can be some things going hand in hand. You can also seek help in the way of seeing a westernized psychologist who can help get you on the track there. along with a spiritual advisor.
Absolutely.
And that is a perfectly valid way to go about it. And I think that could help you at least sort of draw connections to what you're maneuvering through. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And I feel for you, and I'm so sorry that you've had these experiences. And I hope that you find some peace and a little bit of comfort from hearing this, and also found comfort writing it out and being able to share your story. So thank you so much for being vulnerable and offering to share this with us. We definitely appreciate it. But y'all, that is all the time we have for today. But thank you so much, everybody who sent in your ghost mails. If you have a ghost mail you would like to send to us, you can send it to ghostmail@hauntedcitypodcast.com. Otherwise, thank you guys again for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're listening to this. And my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And stay spooky, y'all.